Venomous Stare back with another Call of Duty video. This time we're going to break down the beta that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare and sort of compare and contrast it to Black Ops 4. If you don't know, I've played a ton of Call of Duty. Some of the oldest videos on this channel were gameplay commentaries on Xbox from Black Ops 1. I've played pretty much all of them, minus like Black Ops 3, where you can run around on walls, but 9th Prestige on MW2. Played a ton of CoD 4 on PC and Xbox. Played World at War on PC and Xbox. Played an insane amount of Black Ops 1, which I think is my favorite. Played some Black Ops 2. Played this one, Ghost, whatever. I've played a ton of Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3, which was forgettable, but if you want to see some of my old videos, they're not in good quality and my voice is like an octave higher pitch, but just go to my channel and sort by date inverted. So Modern Warfare. Now you might be saying, well, why are you making a Modern Warfare video if it's going to be Black Ops 4 background? And I'll answer that. It's a very simple answer. The beta was crashy as shit. I played Saturday a good amount, several hours, and I had over 10 crashes, and keep in mind I updated my graphics card and my PC is more than capable of running it and all that mess. But with updated graphics drivers and everything, every single time I would level, with maybe like 2 exceptions, when the little level animation would come up, my game would crash. The game in general would crash very frequently, and the reason this is over Black Ops 4 footage is because I tried to make a commentary last night, and what do you know, I booted the game and it crashed. I booted the game, got into a match, and within 2 minutes it crashed. I booted the game, queued up, and it crashed. This game is a crashy piece of shit. Now this shouldn't come as any surprise. Black Ops 4 was insanely crashy for the majority of the early part of its life. For several of the beginning months of the game, when everybody plays and you really have to keep the game well balanced and maintain a player base, it's crashing all the time. Which was funny because the Black Ops 4 beta wasn't really like that. It wasn't crashy at all, it was actually very stable. So it's sort of funny to me that they would manage to screw this up. So we're going to take a look at what should be TDM, Domination, Demolition, Search and Destroy, War, Headquarters, all these game types. What do we get instead? Straight up TDM, Search, Mercenary Deathmatch Mosh Pit, which is just Mercenary TDM with some kill confirmed, Objective Mosh Pit, and Lone Wolf Mosh Pit. So if you want to play Dom, Control, Safeguard, or Hardpoint, you can't. You have to pick one of these group playlists and just really hope that you get it. Months ago there was a single life playlist, which was literally Search and that absolutely corny heist game, which was just like a straight CSGO ripoff. So this is sort of funny that they brought this back, but from about February, remember the game is always released around November, from about February on, so after the first 3 months of this game's life, they have been shrinking the playlists to basically make it where you can't pick what you want, and if you want to play a specific game type, you're pretty much fucked. Now, I've had a lot of people argue with me and say, well, it's because people are playing Blackout, people are playing Zombies. You can't honestly tell me that a Call of Duty game that has, remember how popular Call of Duty is across all platforms, you can't honestly tell me that a Call of Duty game that has only been out for 4 months has so few players where I can sit in queue for Objective Mosh Pit and for minutes and minutes, like 20 minutes, and not get a game and have to back out and pick something else. Let's just think about that. If you go play like Call of Duty 4 and World at War, there's still over 100 people playing, and you can find a match and you can actually, pick your server like a real PC game. Pick the ping, pick where you're going to be playing, like where the server is. So like if you live in Texas, you can pick a fucking Dallas server or a Houston server. Half the time it'll say in the title, other times you can deduce by the ping. You can pick certain lobbies with your friends, you can play with or against your friends, you can play in certain different size lobbies, you can play in lobbies with certain restrictions. They did away with all that in Modern Warfare 2. They pretty much said, Well, the PC system of having a server list and being able to join up with your buddies, even though that's superior and it's the thing that we have been doing for years and it's what PC games have been for years, we're going to get rid of that and we're going to import this shitty console system over. Basically where you pick a game type and then queue for a match, and it's going to find you a game, and the people, A, they're not necessarily going to be within your skill bracket, and B, you know, you could fucking be playing cross-server. And what's funny is I never actually played this game in windowed mode, but it's such a piece of garbage, it's such a poorly coded disaster of a game that after it froze in the intro screen, and like, look at this, these sprites don't load in forever. Look how long this is taking.
We pay per kill. Leave no
Okay, I have
survivors.
to fix the windowed because it's fucked for no reason. Graphics. I expect a real framey feeling.
Burn.
Feels real slow when I run obs. Real framey.
They're done.
It's gonna be really hard to fucking... I'm just gonna camp relentlessly, by the way. It's gonna be really hard to focus after playing MW. They're so fucking slow. The hood! The hood got me in a hoodie like Mike Brown! I couldn't fuck... I would have gotten a double collat there.
Ready to irradiate.
But the hood got in my way. So, I gotta drop the volume too, I guess. This game is just full of gimmicks. It is just absolutely rife with gimmicks. Okay, that's sound muted, not mic muted. Yeah, that's great. Great. So obviously I wanted to do this over in Modern Warfare gameplay and not Black Ops 4. It's so fucking framey, it's like impossible to hit anything. Good thing I can pick a game where I don't have to aim. So with all these corny little specialists and the equipment and basically trying to turn this game into Overwatch Lite, you run into a problem where it basically just becomes super spammy. People are doing a lot of extra shit. There's a lot of sort of pointless bullshit going on in the game in terms of excessive kill streaks. It's been so long since I played this, I have to focus in gunfights. I try to get that car to explode. Whether it be excessive kill streaks or excessive equipment or other bullshit like pay-to-win guns, this game has really missed the mark. And let's not forget about the fact that the post-launch support has been absolutely awful. Whether it be the jokish playlist I've already described, the terrible netcode, or the gun balance that, what the motherfuck, that was always a little bit behind the times on patching things. The time to kill in this game is way too long. A traditional Call of Duty game, my aim is so bad. You frequently get the feeling of you see multiple people and you get excited because you're about to have the opportunity for a big kill feed. In this game, whenever you see multiple people, you think, well shit, unless I'm with my team, I'm not going to be able to kill them. And this focus on making things quote-unquote a team game, I love it when vehicles blow up because my air support. Lol. This focus of like, oh well, it's a team game is something that League of Legends and Riot Games popularized. Fuck. Where that's not good. Maybe the carrot package will kill him. Hope that was he died to the Thresher. Cock blocker chopper. But essentially, this, by the way, the Thresher is, he's in 10 of course. The Thresher is ridiculously powerful because it's one of the few kill streaks that's not laughably easy to shoot down. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that is the fact that the cock blocker chopper, which I'm calling in, is fucking bad. A lot of the other kill streaks you can call in are pretty fucking bad, whether it be because Zero is imbalanced or because they're just plain and simple very easy to shoot down. And one thing I thought that was interesting, shooting down my something. The one thing that I thought was interesting about Modern Warfare was they went back to kill streaks. They didn't do the score streak shit. Jesus, I'm cooking. Just getting this shit out because the game's about to end. Oh, did it replace it? Who cares? No, it didn't. What the fuck is in the air? But anyway, it's been a little bit scatterbrained because it's a live commentary. But Black Ops 4 basically, the game sort of made a career out of being way fucking worse than Black Ops 1, despite trying to do a lot of the same things. I'm not gonna get to call on this cockblocker chopper that I got at fucking 60 tickets. Look at this. Like, what was my Mantis doing? 28-5, first game in literal months. That's pretty fucking good. You could see me with that stupid 3-round burst, whatever the hell, Outlaw. Terrible. Me trying to use the Outlaw on fucking like 50 FPS. Brutal. And this is weird where I don't think the screen recorder really captures how framey it is. It doesn't really do justice how difficult it is to play and how bizarre it feels. But anyway, the reason I'm not just casting a theater mode game and really hitting my punches hard, like long wait time. All of this black market, we're trying to be Fortnite, we got dances and sprays on walls and weapons charm. That's all just corny bullshit. These contracts, which by the way weren't a bad idea but should have been implemented from day one. It's just another great example of something that's pretty easy to do that they fucked up. Because with all this horse shit, this black market, pay to win, half of the best guns are hidden behind a paywall, and there's always some dumbass, but you can unlock them! You can unlock the pay to win guns! Yeah, it's like, you level all the way to level cap, and there's like a box. It's not like, oh, you hit level 30, you get the Peacekeeper or whatever. It's like, oh, you ran through 50 levels of black market. Now you get to roll. You might get a gun. You might get a knife that you don't want. You might get some bullshit. You might get nothing. But hey, you got to roll for it. This way we can't say it's pay to win. This is a very similar thing that Riot Games did with League of Legends again. And basically making it where all the heroes are so expensive where you could literally play for 6 years and not unlock them all. But they say, like, well, you get in-game currency, so you don't have to buy them with real-life money. But, like, if you actually want to own them, if you actually want to be able to play the game, you do have to buy it with real-life money. And this game was similar in the sense that it's so fucking choppy. It's definitely not 100 FPS. You have a gaming company that wants to basically do, like, day one DLC. Not in a literal sense, but in a sense that they're going to screw their player base over. Cringe. They're going to screw their player base over to basically, like, I had 3 fucking teammates around wood. That's fucking pathetic. But they want to screw their player base to the point where, like, they either have to grind endlessly for the game to be even keel, bad, or they're in this shitty situation where they're just getting killed by guns that are way better than anything unlocked by default. In general, this game was really shitty on release. I should have healed before I tried this maneuver. With constant disconnects and crashes at launch, as well as lots of lobby bugs, taking forever to find games and other stuff like that. But this game really went after the Riot Games model of we're going to intentionally display as little information as possible. We don't want people to take accountability for their actions. We don't want our player base to be competitive at all. We basically want to make it like League and like Overwatch, where if someone performs poorly, the first thing they can do is cry about toxicity, which doesn't exist, by the way. Garbage. Which doesn't exist, by the way. Or they can complain about their team, but here's the crux of the issue. is in Overwatch, kills and deaths aren't visible, and in this game, the scoreboard is very poor in terms of what it shows and what it doesn't show. I wish you would have got that. Fuck the dart. Overwatch, it straight up doesn't tell your teammates anything, you know. The dart is like such a fucking terrible. I need like one of those fucking flight simulator joysticks to pilot that thing. Barely fucking moves even when you slow it down. But this is a game that pandered to the lowest common denominator. It really doesn't show an adequate amount on the scoreboard. When you hit tab, you shouldn't have to mouse over people's names. Their fucking KDR ratio shouldn't be showing. It needs to just show kills, assists, caps, and defends. And I know I'm playing TDM, but you shouldn't have to mouse over anything. You should just be able to hit tab and see what's going on. And this ties into Overwatch and League because the more that you can keep your player base in the dark in terms of their performance compared to their allies, the more you're going to have these poor players. I mean poor players like bad players. You're going to have bad players making excuses and not taking accountability for their actions. So what else did I not like about the game other than the fact that there weren't real playlists, the netcode was bad, and it was filled with spam? I mean, you can tell this is a garbage. This is like a pretty shameless Overwatch ripoff in the sense that there's heroes and there's, you know, it's not like, oh, everyone has a special weapon. Like one of the guys has a ballistic vest. Like Torque has barricades. Like very clearly, a lot of these characters are supposed to be for like support and utility. No way I'm making that flick playing on a slideshow. A lot of these heroes are supposed to be for support and utility. Call of Duty's never really been a game like that. It's always been a game where solo players can do very well. Yeah, this game's a joke. But you look at it in terms of, well, we want to make it a team game where, like, let me just cut you off there. No one wants to enter a Call of Duty game and do the Overwatch bit where they start having to beg for people to play proper roles. Dude, can you please play healer? Like, we need a Torque. We don't need 5 damage heroes. Like, can we get some No, like, no one wants to fuck with that. People want to pick their gun that they have access to just like everyone else based on level, and they want to basically try to win and play for kill streaks. Not score streaks, almost all of which can be shot down easily. And you know, it's funny because as a heavy objective player, I don't really hate the idea of score streaks versus kill streaks, but you sort of, you water it down where a kill streak is sort of like, yeah, I'm doing really well, I got a lot of kills in a row. Whereas throughout my entirety of playing this game, I would just come up with different strategies on how to abuse the score streak system. In other words, like maximize assist, whether it be 0 with equipment charge and the hacker perk, whatever the fuck it's called. And basically just always destroying equipment. I mean, there were tons of different ways to like boost score streaks really heavy. I sort of like that it's back to kill streaks, because even with this game, it wasn't exactly always clear like how many points in your score streak you get for each thing, because you had the dynamic of it would come up with the experience that you would get, but it wouldn't always be indicative of like, I might die, it wouldn't always be indicative of how many like points you were getting towards your fucking point streak. For instance, like they added all this new shit, Kingslayer. Like you have Buzzkill, but they added a bunch of other shit similar to Buzzkill. And it makes it where you're always having like way more than just the default cocksucker. Way more than just the default kill number pop up. But yeah, overall this game suffered from basically poor playlist management and bad netcode, because you're not going to honestly total like just cunt teammates, no clue what to do. But what this game really suffered from was it really had a lack of vision. You have a Call of Duty game trying to be Overwatch that is poorly coded, that's also trying to be Fortnite. Meanwhile, the multiplayer, which is the bread and butter of the majority of the player base, is underwhelming. You have the hokey ass domination that switches at halftime just when you're starting to build momentum. I hated that. You have uninspired, boring kill streaks that are a mixture of not that fun to get and really annoying to play against, which is always a fucking brutal combo. Oh, I didn't get the kill for that even though I hit him 5 times. It's fucking funny. But yeah, overall this game is just, it's pretty shitty. Even for a Call of Duty, it's poorly designed, poorly thought out. Fuck. And after a few months, it was not that fun to play. Look at this shit. But I always got the impression with this game that you had to have a full team to have fun. And a lot of bad computer games feel like that, but Call of Duty has never felt that way. Call of Duty usually feels like if you get a full fucking lobby of people, there aren't enough kills to go around. Usually in CoD, 2 or 3 people is enough to do it and enough to have fun with. And in this game, it just didn't cut it. And I think one of the worst things they did was add zero in the game, because it took a game that was already pretty unrewarding and not all that fun to go on a tear on, and made it where anytime there were a bunch of people, they were impossible to kill, where zero could just shut anything down. Call of Duty is a lot about being aggressive and getting big kill feeds and doing people dirty. This map is fucking atrocious, by the way. But this game's not really like that. It's too much about the team, which really just means that they couldn't figure out how to properly make a fun game. And that's the truth. Because whenever you do this, where everything is absolutely focused around, we're going to make it team friendly, and the team's only as strong as its weakest link, that means that the game is cancer unless you have a full party. This is Call of Duty, not League of Legends, not fucking Overwatch. You're supposed to be able to hard carry your team and basically solo out the enemy team if you're good enough. Not where, oh, well, you can have perfect aim, but the time to kill is so fucking low that you're not even going to be able to pick up double sprays. So, my thoughts on Modern Warfare were the claymores were way too strong. They're instant. You can't peek them and trigger them and get back behind a wall, really. You can't bull troop past them, even if they're not very well placed. And you can have basically, my experience playing Modern Warfare was a lot like playing Modern Warfare 2 and camping. You get in a power position and look at one doorway and have a fucking claymore on each other entrance. People figure out how strong that is, it's going to be a pain in the ass. The kill streaks I thought were like fun and well balanced. Like they were pretty hard to get, but they were rewarding once you got them. They weren't too easy to shoot down, but it wasn't a total joke either. There's no retarded like specialist class, okay, like basically Overwatch heroes, which is good. You know, in Call of Duty, there's a few things that, whether they know it or not, the player base really likes. And that's that if everyone's level 70, they're all going to have access to the same guns and perks, aka not pay to win. The kill streaks are somewhat hard to earn, but once you get them, they're very good. And they want guns that are fun to use and kill in a reasonable amount of time. This game had none of this. The kill streaks were boring and uninspired and easy to get rid of. And then they released Zero. That was like the real jaw-dropping thing, was the game had like a lot. I think on some level, like Zero was an effort to take a game with like lots of noise and spam and bullshit, like the fucking electric robot from the Black Guy Prophet and all this other corn shit that no one liked to play against. I think Zero was sort of an effort to say like, well, we're gonna like minimalize some of it with Zero, and it was just fucking terrible. It just made it where anything rewarding that you did was easily neutralized, and it felt like you sort of had to play around Zero, and because of the way the ults work, like you're gonna get Zero ult multiple times a game, so it's not even really possible to play around it. You can't like, it's not like someone going for a nuke in Modern Warfare 2 where you're like, okay, he's camping there, we gotta take care of that. And even that was stupid, but at least it was manageable. This, it's like Zero's in respawn, and in 6 seconds we'll all be hacked. We'll be like super counter UAV for a minute, and all of our air support will go away. Even with 6 people, you can't play against that, and it's not fun to play against. And even as I basically used Zero for a few months just because like you had to have one. It was like a fucking healer in Overwatch. And I would run equipment charge to get my ult and the grenades as much as possible, and it wasn't particularly fun, but my god, like it made the other team's life a living hell. So a few things I'd like to see from Modern Warfare. is you really need like smaller, more Call of Duty-esque maps. All of the maps play like that seaside map from World at War where there's like a lot of long range shit going on in the middle and there might be a couple buildings, but then about a quarter or a third of the map is this long, melodramatic, basically like Sniper Haven, like a big fucking long open area. I noticed they were trying to do this a lot in these maps. What you get when you do that is a lot of like really campy, boring maps with no flow. Look at Summit, look at Firing Range, they don't have areas like that. Copy maps like that, okay? Or fucking bring them back so we can play them again, you know? That's what's funny about this game, Black Ops 4, is they just re-released all the old classic maps, and guess what? They were still the best maps in this game. There wasn't a single map from this game. Maybe others, well, that one was a remake too, but there's not a single fucking map in this game where I think like, oh, that's a great map. This one needs to be in the future Call of Duties. No, they all suck penis. And overall, this game, I can tell you this: as soon as Modern Warfare comes out, this thing's getting uninstalled and never played again. It had a feeling of the developers set out and said, we're going to appeal to the lowest common denominator, and we're going to try to make this like Overwatch. And what happened? People just went and played Blackout because it wasn't like Call of Duty. It's a total joke. Obviously, there are well over 1,000. I don't want to I don't have concrete numbers, so I don't want to say, oh, 10,000. But obviously, there's over 1,000 fucking players on this game in multiplayer. You can obviously find a game. So to sit in the objective game mode, objective mosh pit, you can't queue for Dom. You gotta queue for this thing where you only get one game mode that you like and 3 bullshit ones. But even in that, can't find a game. The competitive, which I feel like was sort of their way of saying like, like this game is full of gimmicks and you're always dying to some corny bullshit. Like we'll release a competitive mode that's basically like bare bones. Nobody played it, and it was all tryhards. You know what's fun about Call of Duty? Grouping up with a couple of your friends, destroying randoms, and then after a few easy wins, a stack team comes in, or a group of 3 people to match your group of 3, or maybe 2 groups of 3, or maybe a couple doubles, and then you sort of test your skill that way. Going into like I've played game battles, like try-hard Call of Duty, where people are just like shamelessly doing anything they can to try to win, is fucking brutal. It's not fun to play at all. So to release a shitty game with tons of gimmicks and then be like, well, you can play competitive where everyone's playing like a spineless pussy, doesn't really do it for me. You're not really addressing the issue. Hopefully Modern Warfare doesn't have Blackout or zombies or any of this campaign, no corn dog bullshit. Just do multiplayer, don't focus on fucking anything else, and make multiplayer great, make it right, make it feel like CoD 4 and Black Ops had a baby. Because even though the game ran like shit and I couldn't even do a gameplay commentary because of how frequently it crashed, the game did feel good in terms of time to kill and the guns and the perks and stuff like that. But it's been almost a decade since I played my first Call of Duty game, and at this point it's weird because after Modern Warfare 2 was such an atrocity and had so many glaring issues, when Black Ops 1 came out, it was like, okay, this game is almost perfect. Even though it was way different from Modern Warfare 2, that game was very fair. It rewarded the best player winning. The time to kill was long enough to not be like totally ping and twitch based, but not so long where you couldn't get doubles and stuff. Black Ops 1 was where it was at, but then Modern Warfare 3 was a disappointment. Black Ops 2 was really bad because, like, it wasn't really bad in the sense that it was egregious. It was really bad in the sense that, like, they were clearly just trying to build off of Black Ops 1, and they just made a lot of things worse and didn't improve anything. So overall, I think Modern Warfare will be pretty good, but they need to fix the netcode and the crashing issues, which is numero uno, because whenever Black Ops 4 first came out, Call of Duty is always the most fun the first 2 months it's out. You have the most newbies, you have the most friend interest, and every time you would be done with the game, not every time, but I would literally crash upwards of 10 times in my play sessions. And I know it wasn't just me. My friends were crashing too. And if you spend half of your fucking play session restarting the game, inviting people, trying to reassemble your party, fucking, did you get my invite? Yeah, I got it. Oh, it didn't work. Send me another. Like, people don't want to fuck with that. People just want to play. And the nature of Call of Duty is you pick up a few friends, you click find match, you play your match, the game ends, and in a minute you get thrown into a new game, and it goes and goes and goes. You don't have to re-queue. There's not a lever penalty. It's not like playing fucking like a CS:GO comp or a game of StarCraft or a game of League or a game of Overwatch comp where you're so concerned. Oh, do I have to go to work in 35 minutes? Do I have time for a game? Like Call of Duty, it doesn't matter. But whenever you trivialize the sort of underrated process of game ends, you're just in the lobby for 30 seconds or to a minute and the next game starts, that has a nice little effect, because what happens is if you're always just getting into the next game, you're going to be able to play with your friends for a longer amount of time, because essentially one of them has to say like, okay, I'm getting off right now in the short break, see you later. Oftentimes what happens, is they'll do well or you'll win and they'll want to keep playing. But if you're having to fucking back out and wait 3 minutes in between every other match because the game keeps crashing, you know what people are going to do after a few of those? They're going to say, I think I'm going to get off. I'm sort of tired of this. I'm going to go play something else that doesn't crash. So, Modern Warfare, I mean, obviously, I think it'll be reasonably fun for the first 2 months, but the crashing issues really worry me, especially when Black Ops 4 beta ran way smoother than Black Ops 4 on launch, which is a total joke. And you really get the impression that these games are not PC games, these are straight up console ports. And like the Black Ops 4 feeling was, if you're a PC player who played multiplayer, like they care about Blackout way more than they care about multiplayer, first of all, and B, they care about console more than PC, and C, they literally did like an exclusivity deal with the fucking PS4 players where they would get content first. It's like, oh, like the game is unplayable, but we're gonna roll out this PS4 update and y'all are gonna like wait a week with the unplayable game. It was just a joke. To sit there and do exclusivity deals, as you can't even fucking play domination, like these guys are that. And then another issue is you have the dev team coming up with new pay-to-win guns. Ooh, the Vendetta, the Peacekeeper, the ballistic knife. You got people pissing away their time on that. You got people pissing away their time on DLC. You got people pissing away their time on Blackout, which is just a total laughingstock. You don't really have enough people in the multiplayer like game balance area. You don't have enough people in the multiplayer stability area. Because basically like you sell a shitty game with bad netcode that doesn't work, and then you have all your dev focus on day one DLC, which is essentially what it is, because they release a poorly coded game that doesn't really run hardly at all, and instead of trying to fix it, they sit there and they're designing the Vendetta. They're designing the new maps for the DLC. So it's not literal day one DLC, but it's day one DLC in the sense that that's what they're working on instead of what really matters. So Black Ops 4, joke, shit game. Theater didn't work. This was somehow, like the little design of logo was literally somehow worse than console, which shouldn't be possible. The theater mode, 7 years later and on PC, was somehow worse than console, to the point where you couldn't even like look at your fucking score at the end of the game. I mean, this game was a fucking train wreck. It was a disaster.